Prison for anyone is one of the most mentally challenging situations one could ever find themselves in. You are alone, confined to a cell, all day, every day, except for break periods like lunch and yard time, and for those serving longer sentences, it can have a very negative psychological effect. Now, it's one of those situations where I can say, I'm glad I'm not talking from first-hand experience, but from watching several documentaries and reading first-hand accounts of the draining society that is prison life, I feel that I've got a very good aspect and understanding of just how tough it can be. And yes, I am aware that there are different levels of prisoner and different prison types, but I'm talking about maximum security and isolation. That's prison at its worst, if you ask me. That's the level of security that surrounded Bellatrix Lestrange during her time in Azkaban. She was a high-risk prisoner, isolated in her own cell for 14 years, nobody to talk to. Although there was the very tiny, minuscule addition of Dementors surrounding the prison and her cell, feeding on any sort of happiness the inmates had, and how much genuine real joy Bellatrix had is a massive question, which I'll be addressing later. But the main inquest is, how did she survive 14 years in that awful place? Well everyone, in today's video we're going to analyse and examine all the factors that allowed her to stay intact for so long and to integrate back into her dark society so quickly after her breakout too. With that being said, I would greatly appreciate if you all stick around and join me in today's video on how Bellatrix Lestrange survived Azkaban prison. Okay everyone, let's get started. So Azkaban prison is a genuinely awful place. It's cold, it's dark, it's horrid. It is truly the most undesirable of atmospheres. The prison has what I like to call a double fear aspect. And what I mean by that is, there's two valid reasons why nobody wants to ever end up there. The first, well, that's pretty obvious. Who wants to go to prison? Let alone an isolated prison like Azkaban. And the second, that's also pretty obvious. Dementors. Terrifying creatures who feed on all positive memories and have the ability to suck the soul straight out of their victim's body in an act known as the Dementor's kiss. These are the prison guards. They are allowed to moderately feed off the prisoners, but are instructed to never perform their signature deed at any given time. Basically, no soul sucking. Now, I know what you're all probably thinking right now. Dean, we already know about Dementors and the Dementor's kiss, and we already know how awful Azkaban is, so why are you telling us this? Well guys, the reason I'm lightly covering these topics is because I feel it's extremely important to understand the atmosphere that not only Bellatrix but all prisoners suffer when incarcerated in the confinement. We have to get into the mindset in order to see it from Bellatrix's point of view and what she endured. So Bellatrix Lestrange is tried and convicted for her participation in the torture of the Longbottoms and also for being a Death Eater. That's life in Azkaban. Bellatrix, even before she's taken away, shows that she thoroughly believes she won't be in Azkaban for life by shouting for all to hear that the Dark Lord will return. This is the first clue to the approach that she took to being an inmate. Her belief in her master and her loyalty to him is what gave her the strength to persevere. Bellatrix knew that the sole reason she was in prison in the first place was because of her fierce loyalty to Lord Voldemort. She didn't flee, she didn't hide, she willingly, openly and publicly declared her allegiance to the Dark Lord, and that's exactly what Bellatrix held on to for 14 long years. She was fully expecting Voldemort to return. She knew that the longer she served in prison, the stronger her faith in the Dark Lord would appear. Weak-willed people tend to break very quickly and easy, that's quite obvious. But if a person's will is strong, if they have something to hold on to, well, as long as they hold on to and focus solely on that reason to keep going, to keep pushing, there's very little that can stop them. Now, it's not to say that Azkaban didn't take its toll on Bellatrix. It did. It really did. She was strikingly beautiful in her youth. She was known for it, as were her two sisters also. However, 14 years of confinement did affect her once beautiful appearance. Now, don't be mistaken, Bellatrix's beauty could still be seen, but she appeared hollow, gaunt, and looked as if she had been consumed by everything that is Azkaban prison. In fairness, that was the best deal she was going to get, as not many people make it through their sentence. Not many people survive Azkaban. Even Hagrid, he wasn't the same after his release. It took him quite some time to get back to himself, and he was only incarcerated for a few months. Sirius Black, like his cousin, held on to his innocence, even when it came to the point of him almost giving up. Seeing Peter Pettigrew in the paper not only gave him additional motivation, but inspired him to actually escape. Regardless of that, Sirius, as I said, held on to that innocence, and that was something that the Dementors could not take away from him. As for the mental effects, well, the thing is, Bellatrix wasn't exactly all there now, was she? Her obsessiveness with Voldemort became so unhealthy that she would have willingly died for him, let alone go to prison. It's almost as if she longed for something to believe in, to take her away from whatever situation she was in while growing up, which we don't know, as information on her early childhood has never been disclosed. Basically, it seems like Bellatrix would always be a follower if the cause was something she truly believed in. To survive day after day, month after month, year after year, Bellatrix truly had to believe that she would be rejoining the Dark Lord at any given day, at any given time. Now, despite all that, despite her strength of will and her desperate desire to rejoin her master, we do have to look at the effects the Dementors would have had on her. Now, when it comes to genuine happiness and enjoying herself and enjoying life, it's apparent that Bellatrix may have had some happy memories from her time in school and with her sisters, but in her later years as a Death Eater, she found joy in killing and torturing, all in the name of Lord Voldemort. She was psychotic at times, and was convinced her own thoughts were always accurate. Dementors suck all the happiness and joy from you, leaving you with nothing but despair. The Death Eater's happiest memories weren't actually happy occasions. It was memories of death, torture, and inflicting pain, so the Dementors couldn't really take that from Bellatrix. Even more so, it's entirely possible that these memories that we all view as bad were indeed conflicted as good in her mind, meaning the Dementors either became confused and had no interest in her, or they just had no effect despite their continuous efforts. If the Dementors can't use their primary weapon against you, then how truly affected can one be? In Bellatrix's case, it was very little. Sure, she was alone, but that only made her more of a threat. Bellatrix just immersed herself within her own thoughts. Yes, she did become more unstable, more psychotic, but this only gave her strength against the Dementors and strength to wait patiently for her master's return. That is how she survived Azkaban. It's how she was able to reintegrate back into the outside world so quickly. She had so much faith that it steered her in the right direction for her own adjustment. And with that being said, everyone, that is my take on how Bellatrix survived Azkaban prison. If there's anything you'd like to add, then please feel free to do so in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, have a great day, and please remember, be happy. Thank you so much for watching, I truly appreciate your support. Everyone, notifications of uploads are more important than ever, so please, if you haven't already, turn those notifications on to make sure you're notified the moment my video goes live. Making videos is what I love to do, it's my dream and my passion. However, it does cost time and money to produce this content, so if you have $1 to spare to support me on Patreon in exchange for some exclusive unseen content, then you can click the Patreon link below or at the end of this video. Please only support me if you can afford it. And make sure to follow me on Instagram at InstaDNJ and on Twitter at Folklore. Check out my other videos appearing on screen, and please make sure, most importantly, to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again everyone, and please have a great day.